Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video I had talked about in a previous one, and that is comparing the 2023 liveries to the 2024 liveries for F1. Now since all of the liveries have been launched, I can now compare and see which one I liked better. So I have pictures from F1's Instagram. I will put that somewhere. F1's Instagram. So these are pictures that actually have the renders from last year's livery and this year's livery, so you can do like a compare and contrast. And so those are the pictures I'm going to use. You may notice that some look really similar, and that is how some of these liveries go. So I have the scores that I gave the 2023 liveries, and I will give the 2024 liveries a score as well, and just kind of talk about what I feel about each of them. I have some thoughts. So let's get right into it. Let's compare liveries. So the first livery I have, because it was the first post on Instagram without having to scroll down, is a Red Bull. So it's the same car. Like, my favorite is this nose on view, right? It looks exactly the same. Minus, like, the car itself is shaped a little bit differently, but, like, the paint, the setup, the where everything is, it's the same. Like, there's nothing different about this car. Nothing. Maybe I'm blind, but maybe this year it looks a little bit more purple on that, like, navy section. But otherwise, it's the same car. So I given last year's a 7.5 out of 10 because it was pretty, like, you can't you can't deny that it's still a good car. And so because it's the same car, it's getting another 7.5 out of 10. I could have lowered it to a 7 because they did it exactly the same and didn't go creative at all. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of deal. It would be nice to see them do something different, but I don't think that's going to be happening for a long time. So they both have a 7.5 out of 10 because 7.5 out of 10 because it is the exact same car. Next is Mercedes. And I really like this new car, but I didn't have as strong a reaction to it as I did with the 23 car. I'd given the 23 car a 9 out of 10 because I thought it was so good and it looked so clean and it was really sleek. Sure, it wasn't that great on track, but you know. And this year, I still really like it, don't get me wrong. I like that they kind of combined their like silver arrow that they were really known for a long time, and then the black that they tried last year and also a couple years ago, combined both of those ideas, and so the car looks really good. My favorite view might be that nose on view, just to get to see the silver looks really good from that angle. So last year I gave him a 9 out of 10, and I don't love it as much, so I gave it an 8.5. An 8.5 out of 10 for the 24. It's one of the top cars this year for sure, once again. So yeah, that's Mercedes. Next up is Ferrari. I love their new livery, okay? I love it. So I was really worried because as we go further down and we'll look at the cars that got released first, you'll notice a lot of black. And it's worrisome for sure. And so when I was thinking of some of the top teams, I'm like, Ferrari's car I loved last year. There wasn't a ton of black. It was still very red heavy, but I was like, oh no, are they gonna go more black, or it's called carbon fiber? Or are they actually gonna paint the car? And they actually painted the car, and I was so happy. I like this one more than last year's livery. I think I do. I don't know. They got rid of that weird black strip where the Seva logo was on the side pod, and it looks almost like it's more red. At least the body of the car looks more covered in red, and I love it. Those stripes of yellow and white, they look so good on this car. It looks so good. And then the wheel covers are, yeah, I love this car more than I like last year's, and I loved last year's car too. So last year I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, and this year Ferrari gets a 9. I think this car is so sick. Oh, I just hope it's good on track. Oh, Ferrari, please. Please be good on track. Poor Charles. Okay, yeah. 9 out of 10 for the new Ferrari. Next is Aston Martin. And similar to Red Bull, it's basically the same car. The green is slightly different, at least from these pictures. Last year's it's more of a bluey green, and this year it's more of a green green. You know what I'm saying? Sure you do. But otherwise, it's the same. There's a little bit more black on this year's. Just you can even see it on the side part that the green doesn't go all the way down to that yellow strip on the bottom, whereas last year's it did. And then some of their sponsors changed, which makes a difference on how the car looks. But I'm not really going to talk about it because I don't know much about the sponsorship changing. So yeah, and again, because it's literally the same car, I'm going to give it another 8 out of 10. So both last year and this year get 8s. It's another one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of deals. They have figured out a style that works for them that looks really good. So, you know what? I can't blame you. But yes, Aston sticking with the all green gets an 8 out of 10. Next is actually a name change team. This used to be AlphaTauri, which is that bottom car in all the pictures, and they got their name changed to Visa Cash App Red Bull Racing Bulls. I think they're getting called Racing Bulls, I think. But if you listen to P1 with Matt and Tommy, I'll link them down below too. They're great for F1 content. They're calling them VCarb along with a lot of other F1 content creators. So I'll call them VCarb too because I like it. I love this car. I love this new VCarb so much. The AlphaTauri I had given a 6 out of 10, mainly because the Orland red didn't, like, it felt weird. But with this VCarb, the red actually works. This car looks a lot like the old Toro Rosso that a lot of people loved. I'll see if I can find a picture. If I do, that was the old Toro Rosso. And so you can see some similarities between this and that. I think it looks great. This was one of the first cars that got released that was like, oh, there's so much paint. Because we had gotten a lot of the bottom teams had released their cars earlier than everybody else, and it was a lot of carbon fiber black. Like everyone didn't want to paint their cars, it seemed like. And this one is covered in paint, and everyone loves it. So last year at the AlphaTauri, I'd given a 6. With the name change, I'm giving the V Carb an 8. I really like this car. I think it looks really cool. And it's metallic, which is not as common, except sort of with McLaren and the chrome. But I think this is a really good looking car. I hope that they do well this season. It'd be really great to see Daniel Ricciardo do really well, even Yuki. Go Yuki. But yes, 8 out of 10 for VCarb. This car made so many people mad, including myself, and that's Alpine. So last year's car looked really clunky and ugly, and it didn't work. It didn't work. I gave it a 4. Nobody liked that car. Everyone wanted the pink one, which I didn't hate as much, but I didn't love the pink as much as everybody else. This car, Alpine, what are you doing? This is ugly. This is so much worse. That the above angle, this above angle picture, you can see just how much less paint there is. This car is 95% carbon fiber, and it's just, oh, it's so ugly. Like Alpine has such potential with this color palette, and they throw it away. Like, what are they doing? That nose on me, like, nothing about this car looks good. I don't like it at all. At all. It's so bad. Ah. So last year it was a 4. This year it's a 3. This is worse somehow. Like, paint the car, folks. That's what people want. We want paint on that car. So yeah, this is bad. This is ugly. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That is not a good car to look at. It's not gonna pop on track. Oh, use that pink. Use the blue. Just use them. Because you didn't. Oh, Alpine, get your act together. Make some better decisions. This is awful. Awful. Another name change. So last year was Alfa Romeo, got a new title sponsor, and now it is Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber? Question mark, I think. But it's Stake and Kick. And the colors there is green. Neon green. So this is like comparing apples and oranges because these are two completely different cars. Completely different. More different than even V-Carb and Alpha Tauri. Like this is completely different. So I will say that green is going to look great on track. And the fact that the entire front nose is painted, we like that. We really do. I remember I thought that the AlphaTauri, not the AlphaTauri, the Alfa Romeo car was really just kind of meh. I'd given it a 6. And in all honesty, I'm still not sure how I feel about the Stake car. I like the idea that it's going to pop a lot, and I'm glad that they used that green well. But again, it's a lot of carbon fiber. There's the only parts that are painted are the green. And I don't know if it's actually like if I like it or not. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm gonna give the Stake car a 6.5 out of 10. I do like it more than the Alfa Romeo car. I just don't know how I quite feel about it yet. Maybe my mind will change once I see it on track and I don't see it in renders. But for now, it's a 6.5. This may or may not change. I don't know. Next is Williams, and last year I'd given it a 7.5. I really liked their car last year. I liked the red, and I liked the geometric blues. I like last year's car better. So I think my thing is that they went darker blues on this 24 livery, and I liked the lighter blues of the 23 livery. So don't get me wrong, I do still like the Williams. I just think it's a little dark. And while it is a lot more painted than a lot of the other cars, it's still not going to pop as much because it's darker navy blue, I think, with not a whole lot of bright accent colors. Like if you think about the Red Bull, that is a dark color too, but it at least has that red and the yellow that makes it pop. And just Williams doesn't have that really here. Like I still like the car, but I just don't like it as much. So I'm gonna give the Williams this year a 7 compared to Williams 7.5 last year. Still a good car. I hope that they have a good season this year. Go Alex. Also, their race suits look terrible. Let me put a picture of their race suits. They're ugly. They're so bad. They're not nice. They look so strange. Compared to last year's race suits, this year's race suits. Last year's 100%. But yeah, that is Williams. Now we have the Haas. The Haas is pretty similar, just they took a more paint, so it's a lot more carbon fiber. Can you sense a theme here? So last year I'd given it a 6 out of 10. Cause I was mid on it. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It's been so hard for me for this car. I don't know if I like it or not. I do kind of like the shape of the big Haas logo on the side pod this year, but like the nose, I don't like. I wish the whole thing was white like last year's. I just don't know. I like it about the same. I think there's not really a whole lot that makes it stand out. So I'll give it a 6, the same thing I gave it last year. I just wish that they could do something different with it. I don't know. Like paint. What? Yeah, I don't know. That's Haas. Last but certainly not least, we have McLaren. So this is the backwards order of how the cars were launched. And so McLaren was the first one to release what their livery looked like. It was dropped out of the blue, as I may have mentioned. But they have a good car here, folks. Last year I'd given it an 8. There was a couple of things I talked about really liking the blue, and then the wheel covers I really liked, even though some people hated. Kept the wheel covers, super great. Super happy about that. They took out the blue, and I'm not mad because this car looks really good. Yes, there's a lot of carbon. We're just going to have to deal at this point. But I think that where they used the papaya still makes the car really pop. And I love that the nose is completely papaya. I like that the back and then the rear ring is pretty much all papaya. So there's definitely some great aspects here. I think I like it more than last year's car. I don't know. It kind of gives me the stealth car that they used in Japan and Singapore, but also like the divisions of it kind of remind me of the Triple Crown livery that they ran in Monaco, and I'm here for it. I didn't love the Triple Crown as much as everybody else did, but I do really like this livery. So I'm gonna give this year's an 8.5. You get a 0.5 up, McLaren. Great job. I hope you do great this year. You are my team, so I need Lando to get a win. Okay? Thank you. And that's it. That's all 10 liveries for the 2024 season compared to the 2023. And I'm excited. At the time of recording, F1 testing is next week, and Drive to Survive comes out next week, which I'm super pumped for. So I don't know when this video comes out. We'll see how fast I can edit it. But yeah, I'm really excited for the F1 season this year. I'm excited for the craziness that's sure to follow with all of this driver nonsense. You haven't seen, Lewis Hamilton started silly season a year early. So very excited about that. I'm here for the drama. I'm here for some great races. I need Max to not win every race this season, and I need Checo to do horrible so he can leave, and that Danny Rick can get back into that Red Bull, and I need Lando to win. Those are kind of my things. Those are the things that I'm like, please. But that's not livery related. Let me know your thoughts on the liveries this year. Which you liked better, 23 or 24? And yeah, that's it. I guess I'll see you next time in Just Corner.